Welcome back to Built from Nothing, the channel where we uncover the raw, unfiltered stories of people who started at zero and climbed their way to the top. Today, we're diving into the life of one of the most talked-about men on the planet, Andrew Tate. Love him or hate him, he went from a broke kickboxer with nothing to his name to a multi-millionaire entrepreneur and one of the most Googled people alive. But his story isn't simple. It's a journey of discipline, controversy, and relentless ambition. And whether you agree with him or not, there's no denying this. Andrew Tate built an empire that the world can't stop talking about. Before we get started, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Do you think Andrew Tate's rise was genius or just luck? Before the supercars, before the Bugattis and private jets, before the fame and controversy, Andrew Tate was just a boy growing up in a broken home, struggling to find his place in the world. His story begins not with wealth or privilege, but with a name, a chessboard, and a fight for survival. Andrew Tate was born on December 1st, 1986, in Washington, D.C. His father, Andrew Tate, was a brilliant man, a five-time Armed Forces chess champion, a master of strategy, and one of the first black international chess masters in history. Emery wasn't just good at chess. He was legendary. Known for his bold sacrifices and aggressive style, he was the kind of player who didn't just try to win, he tried to dominate. But brilliance didn't always translate to stability. Emery's obsession with the game often left the family in financial hardship. Andrew's mother, Eileen, shouldered much of the responsibility of raising Andrew and his siblings, Tristan and Janine. The Tates were far from wealthy. In fact, Andrew often recalls growing up in what he called the grind of the working class. When Andrew was still young, his parents divorced. His mother moved the family to Luton, England. For Andrew, this was a culture shock. From American suburbs to an industrial English town, and money was tighter than ever. Andrew has said more than once, "There were nights when I had to eat cornflakes for dinner." It was in this environment that two forces shaped him: his father's lessons and his need to defend himself. Though Emery wasn't always around, the lessons he left on Andrew stuck for life. Chess taught Andrew about patience, foresight, and the art of making sacrifices today for victory tomorrow. "Chess is life," Emery once told him. "If you lose your queen but take his king, you still win." Andrew would later echo this same mentality in his businesses and even in his online persona. He was always playing for the long game, always willing to take risks that others feared. But in Luton, life wasn't about queens and kings. It was about fists and reputation. Luton wasn't glamorous. It was tough, gray, and filled with working-class struggles. Andrew, tall but lanky in his youth, often found himself targeted. He wasn't the biggest or the strongest, but he was fiery. He quickly learned to fight back. Street fights, schoolyard confrontations, and a stubborn refusal to be bullied hardened him. For Tate, the world wasn't going to hand him respect. He would have to take it. At 15, Andrew walked into a kickboxing gym. It was raw, smelly, filled with sweat and leather, but for him it was a sanctuary. Here, he could channel his aggression into discipline. He trained relentlessly. Punches, kicks, knees, sparring rounds, hours turned into days, days into years. Tate wasn't the most naturally gifted fighter, but he had something many others lacked: an obsession with improvement. By his late teens, Tate was competing in amateur fights. His mother couldn't always afford the travel, but Andrew would scrape together what he could, taking buses across town, borrowing gear, sleeping rough if he had to. Losses came early. But instead of quitting, Tate studied. He broke down tapes, learned where he made mistakes, and came back sharper. His philosophy became clear. You can't learn to fight without getting punched in the face. Pain is the best teacher. By his early 20s, Tate was on the professional circuit. Fight after fight, he climbed the rankings. He wasn't flashy, he was calculated. Patient, precise, ruthless when the moment came. And slowly the wins stacked up. The breakthrough came when Andrew captured his first world championship title in kickboxing. For a boy from a broken home in Luton, this was validation. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was conquering. But here's the brutal truth. Being a world champion in kickboxing didn't mean financial freedom. Unlike boxing or MMA, the purses were small. Even at the top, Andrew was barely making $40,000, $50,000 a year. He was a champion, but still struggling. While others celebrated, Tate was calculating. He realized something vital. Being the best fighter in the world doesn't make you rich. It makes you tough. But toughness alone doesn't pay the bills. This realization would change everything. Before moving into business, Andrew carried with him the lessons that fighting drilled into his bones. Discipline beats motivation. Every morning, whether tired or sore, he trained. Sacrifice is necessary. Social life, relationships, comfort, all secondary to the goal. Pressure is a privilege. Every fight was a test, and he embraced it. He would later apply these same principles to building companies, crafting his online persona, and weathering controversies that would have crushed most people. Andrew Tate, the fighter, had proven his resilience. But he also discovered the harsh truth. Trophies don't equal wealth. If he wanted to escape the grind, if he wanted to provide for his family and live life on his terms, he would need to step out of the ring and into the world of business. And that's where the story really begins. Andrew Tate had proven himself in the ring. He was a 4-time kickboxing world champion, respected by fighters, feared by opponents. But respect didn't pay the bills, and fear didn't buy Bugattis. By his late 20s, Tate realized he was standing at a crossroads. He had glory, but not wealth. He had discipline, but not freedom. And freedom was all he ever wanted. The fight world had given Andrew toughness, but it hadn't given him financial security. He looked around at older fighters, broken bodies, empty bank accounts, forgotten names. That wasn't going to be him. So he started hustling. Small ventures, experiments, trial and error. He dabbled in advertising, personal training, even managed fighters, but nothing scaled. Nothing had the leverage to pull him out of the grind. And then, unexpectedly, opportunity knocked through reality TV. In 2016, Andrew Tate was cast on the UK's reality show Big Brother. For the first time, he had a national spotlight. Millions of viewers tuned in to see the sharp-tongued, brash, unapologetic American Brit with a fighter's edge. But Tate wasn't built to play the role of the agreeable reality star. He was confrontational, outspoken, provocative. Clips of him saying outrageous things went viral before viral was a daily occurrence. Then came the scandal. Old videos surfaced of Tate allegedly hitting a woman with a belt. Despite both Tate and the woman insisting it was consensual role play, the show dropped him. Overnight, he went from rising reality star to public villain. Most people would have crawled back into obscurity, reputation destroyed. But not Tate. He saw it differently. If they're going to paint me as the bad guy, he thought, then I'll become the baddest man alive. It was the first glimpse of what would later become his full-blown online persona. Kicked out of TV, broke from fighting, Tate needed money. Real money. He stumbled into an idea while talking to women he knew. At the time, webcam chat rooms were a booming but poorly run industry. Men all over the world would pay just to talk to attractive women online. Andrew saw the opportunity. With his brother Tristan, he recruited models, set them up in front of cameras, and managed the operation. But Tate wasn't just running webcams, he was running a sales machine. The models didn't just chat. They role-played, sold dreams, created online relationships with lonely men who would empty their wallets for attention. Tate applied everything he learned from fighting, discipline, strategy, and patience to this business. At its height, the webcam empire employed over 70 models and generated millions. The webcam business was lucrative, but it was also controversial. Many criticized it as manipulative, exploitative, even immoral. Tate didn't deny it. In fact, he leaned into the criticism. The world is not sunshine and rainbows, he'd say. You either get rich or you get played. I chose to get rich. To Tate, it wasn't about morality. It was about freedom. The webcam business gave him his first taste of real financial power. He could pay off debts, invest, and most importantly, stop trading time for money. With his first millions secured, Tate diversified. He opened casinos in Romania, expanding into a business that could churn profits day and night. He built a network of companies, from modeling agencies to digital ventures. But one thing became clear: Tate didn't just want money. He wanted influence. He wanted an empire. That's when he turned to education. Tate launched Hustlers University, an online membership platform teaching men how to make money in modern ways: copywriting, dropshipping, crypto, stocks, freelancing. The real genius, though, wasn't just the courses. It was the marketing model. Members were incentivized to share Tate's clips online and earn commissions for referrals. This created a digital army of Tate evangelists. His content flooded TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, often without him posting a thing. The affiliates did the work, Tate got the exposure, and Hustlers University grew to hundreds of thousands of paying members. At $49 a month, the revenue was staggering. By 2022, Hustlers University was pulling in tens of millions annually. The Andrew Tate of this era wasn't just a kickboxer anymore. He was a mogul. He traded the ring for the boardroom, gloves for cigars, and training camps for casinos. But the fighter's mentality never left him. He approached business like combat: prepare, strike, overwhelm, dominate. In interviews, Tate often said, "Money is speed. The quicker you move, the quicker you can win." This was the secret sauce. While others hesitated, doubted, or waited for permission, Tate took action, often controversially, often ruthlessly, but always decisively. But success came with shadows. His webcam business and aggressive online persona drew criticism from mainstream media. Journalists painted him as a manipulator, a scammer, a toxic influence. And yet, the more they attacked, the bigger he grew. The controversy wasn't a setback. It was fuel. Every headline, every scandal, every accusation only amplified his name. Tate had found the formula: attention is currency. Andrew Tate had gone from world champion fighter to multi-millionaire entrepreneur. He had tasted power, wealth, and influence. But what came next would catapult him to global notoriety and make him one of the most Googled men on the planet. Because the next phase of his journey wasn't just about making money. It was about building a persona so polarizing, so magnetic, that the entire world couldn't look away. Andrew Tate had made millions. He had escaped the grind, built his empire, and crafted a life of wealth and luxury. But money wasn't enough. What he wanted now was bigger: influence, impact, and immortality. And in T22, he got exactly that. By this point, Tate had engineered something genius: a self-replicating marketing machine. Affiliates clipped his podcasts, interviews, and rants, then reposted them everywhere. TikTok? Flooded. Instagram? Saturated. YouTube? Overflowing. Even people who had never searched his name couldn't escape him. The algorithm was force-feeding Tate clips to millions every day. The result? By mid-2022, Andrew Tate became the most Googled man in the world. For weeks, he outranked presidents, pop stars, and world leaders. The internet split into two camps. On one side, millions of young men worshipped him. They called him Top G, seeing him as a role model of discipline, success, and unapologetic masculinity. To them, he was saying the things no one else dared to say: rejecting victimhood, pushing hard work, glorifying success. On the other side, critics blasted him. They accused him of misogyny, manipulation, and spreading toxic ideals. They argued his message was dangerous, especially for impressionable young audiences. But here's the secret Tate already knew: controversy sells. The more they attacked, the bigger he grew. Every news headline was free advertising. Every ban was proof, in his supporters' eyes, that he was a truth-teller silenced by the system. In August 2022, Big Tech struck back. One by one, Andrew Tate was banned from nearly every major platform: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. His accounts vanished overnight. For most influencers, this would have been a death sentence. No accounts. No audience. No income. But Tate wasn't like most influencers. His army of affiliates kept posting. His name kept trending. And ironically, the ban's only increased curiosity. Millions who had never heard of him before now went searching. Who is Andrew Tate? Why did he get banned? The result? His notoriety skyrocketed. But the biggest storm was yet to come. In December 2022, Andrew and his brother Tristan were arrested in Romania on charges of human trafficking and organized crime. The story dominated global headlines. Every outlet from CNN to the BBC carried his name. For months, Tate was detained, then placed under house arrest. His supporters rallied, calling it a witch hunt. His critics celebrated, saying justice was finally catching up to him. Tate denied all allegations, insisting he was innocent, a victim of political persecution. The cases dragged on, the controversies piled up, and his legend only grew. Beneath the chaos, Tate's core message stayed the same. He preached a philosophy built on 3 pillars. Discipline is freedom. He believed self-control in fitness, finances, and lifestyle was the key to success. Absolute responsibility. Tate rejected excuses, insisting that men should take ownership of everything in their lives. Reject victimhood. In his view, complaining was weakness. Winners adapt, losers whine. This mindset, blunt, confrontational, extreme, struck a nerve. Millions resonated with it. Millions despised it. But nobody ignored it. Even in controversy, Tate kept building. Hustlers University evolved into the real world, an even larger platform teaching online money-making skills. His casinos kept running. His network of fans kept multiplying. Cars, watches, cigars, mansions. Tate flaunted his wealth as both proof and provocation. Every Instagram story, every podcast appearance was part of the brand. And though his businesses faced scrutiny, the empire survived. Some say thrived. By 2023, Andrew Tate wasn't just a businessman or an influencer. He had become a cultural phenomenon. He was debated in classrooms, dissected on podcasts, and memed endlessly online. Parents worried about his influence on their sons. Journalists wrote think pieces about the Tate effect. And yet, in corner gyms across the world, young men whispered his name as motivation to push harder, lift heavier, and dream bigger. Whether you loved him or hated him, you couldn't escape him. Through it all, Tate carried the same mentality he learned as a young fighter. The world won't hand you respect. You take it. Every ban, every arrest, every scandal was another punch to the face. But like in the ring, Tate absorbed the blows, adapted, and kept swinging. To his critics, he's a dangerous figure who spreads harmful ideas. To his fans, he's proof that you can rise from nothing, defy the system, and build your own empire. Both sides may be right. And that's exactly why he remains one of the most polarizing figures of our time. From a chess prodigy's son in Washington, D.C., to a broke teenager in Luton, England, to a world champion. Kickboxer, to a multimillionaire entrepreneur, to the most Googled man on earth. Andrew Tate's story is messy, controversial, inspiring, infuriating, but undeniably one thing, a story of a man who built it all from nothing. That's the story of Andrew Tate. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think his rise was genius or pure manipulation? Is he a role model, a villain, or maybe both? Drop your thoughts in the comments if you enjoyed this documentary. Hit like, smash that subscribe button, and share this with someone who needs motivation. Because here on Built From Nothing, we believe if they could do it, so can you.